The basic idea of diplomatic immunity is that foreign diplomats are afforded protection from prosecution should they break a law of the country in which they are working. While this is often depicted as a get-out-of-jail-free card, the reality is that diplomatic immunity, like every aspect of law, is nuanced and grounded in centuries of legal tradition. Very soon after neighboring civilizations began sending messengers to negotiate trade and mitigate conflict, it became clear that these envoys were only effective if they were not killed or imprisoned upon arrival. Thus, a tradition of special privileges and protections for foreign messengers, representatives, and diplomats emerged, and was codified in the legal writings of many civilizations, including ancient India, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. This idea grew and spread during the Renaissance, and in 1815, the Congress of Vienna produced the first modern international treaty concerning the rights of diplomats. This framework was further codified in the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations in 1961, and the related Vienna Convention on Consular Relations in 1963, which have been ratified by nearly every nation and serve as the basis for modern diplomatic law. The United States, which closely follows the framework laid out by the Vienna Conventions, recognizes three different types of foreign representatives: diplomats, who represent their home government in international negotiations; consuls, who represent the citizens of their home nation and are often employed by embassies; and members of international organizations such as the United Nations. Diplomats are the most heavily protected group. They cannot be detained, arrested, or prosecuted for any crime. Law enforcement officers cannot enter their residence. They cannot be summoned as a witness in a court case, and their immediate family enjoys these same privileges. Consuls are less heavily protected. They can be detained in the case of a serious felony. Their private residence, but not their office space, can be entered using the appropriate legal procedures, and their family members are not afforded any extra protections. Members of international organizations can be treated as diplomats or consuls depending on their position. Within each category, staff employed by the foreign representative enjoy varying degrees of extra protections depending on their job duties. If a foreign representative does in fact commit a serious crime, the host country is not without recourse. The first step is to contact the representative's home country and request that their diplomatic immunity be waived. If the home country agrees, the host country can arrest and prosecute the representative. Otherwise, the host country can have the representative declared a persona non grata, that is, a person unwelcome in the country, revoke the representative's visa, and have the representative recalled to their home country. Often the representative will face criminal charges in their home country after being recalled. Even with these safeguards, diplomatic immunity is sometimes abused. Since its inception, diplomatic immunity has been used as a defense by diplomats or their family members against charges of domestic abuse, drug smuggling, assault, and very rarely more serious charges of murder and terrorism. The vast majority of diplomatic immunity abuse comes in much less dire forms, like unpaid rent and parking tickets. While diplomatic immunity is not a perfect system, a world without it would fare much worse. Representatives could then be suddenly detained as political prisoners, used as pawns in international negotiations, or imprisoned due to ignorance of the local laws and customs, or a conflict between local laws and their home country's laws and values. Dangerous international incidents would be commonplace in such a world, as representatives fail to complete their missions as envoys, negotiators, and ambassadors. As such, diplomatic immunity remains an essential aspect of international diplomacy.